Everybody wants to hate on hustle these days. You hear it everywhere. Rest is the new hustle. Grind culture is toxic. Just manifest, don't force. But let me tell you, this what I'm about to tell you changed my life forever. I was working at a bagel shop years ago, and I was the opener. I'd get there around 3 a.m., before the sun, before the traffic, before anybody else. And one day, something different happened. I prepped everything like normal. Bagels, eggs, cream cheese, got the line ready. The whole routine. But no one else showed up for work. No phone calls, no help, just me. And soon, what you expect to happen, there was a line of customers wrapping around the building. And at that moment, something switched in me. I stopped overthinking. I didn't complain about anything. And I didn't look for a way out. I just put my head down and locked in. I started moving faster than I thought possible. Orders, payments, bagels, eggs, in perfect synchrony. No distractions, no time to worry. And at this time in my life, I understand that I entered what some people call flow, but I call it now holy hustle. And I was never the same after this. And I believe if you listen to the end of this video, you will never be the same again. Because when I look back, I realized this wasn't just me grinding and working hard. That was God empowering me to move with Him. So let's talk about it. Hustle culture got hijacked. What started as discipline and ambition turned into burnout, ego, and idolatry. People working 100 hours a week, chasing clout instead of calling, sacrificing sleep, family, health, and for what? I get it. I agree with the criticism to a point, because yes, hustle without God will eat you alive. Hustle without purpose leads to anxiety. Hustle without wisdom leads to collapse. But that doesn't mean hustle itself is the enemy. The Bible says in Isaiah 40:31, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Wait, what does it say? They shall run. Running requires energy. Running requires urgency. Running is motion. That's not laziness. That's not passive. That's what I call a hustle, with heaven's wind behind it. And I'll be honest with you, if I didn't hustle, I wouldn't be here. The businesses I've built, the breakthroughs I've had, the lives I've impacted, all came through seasons of intense work and hustle. But those seasons weren't just for the point of working hard. They were anointed assignments. God had me in spiritual boot camp, training my consistency, my endurance, my stewardship. There's never a dull moment in my life right now. And some people look at me and say, "You should slow down, brother. That hustle mindset is dangerous." But listen, there are places in the spirit you only reach through persistence. There are doors that only open when you knock repeatedly. And you are going to die one day, and you only have so much time on this earth. There are battles that only break when you wrestle in prayer and in action. Let me say that again, and in action. So it's not hustle that's toxic. It's godless hustle that destroys you. It's not putting God first that destroys you. Godless hustle is fueled by fear, pride, and pressure. And you hustle because you think it all depends on you. You grind to prove yourself to people who don't even matter. You burn out chasing a version of success that isn't even aligned with your purpose. But holy hustle is different. Holy hustle is powered by obedience. Holy hustle is about being faithful with what God gave you. It's saying, "God, I'll show up early. I'll stay late. I'll do my part. And I trust you'll do yours." Let's not forget, Jesus worked. He walked miles on foot. He taught for hours on hillsides and in temples. He healed crowds that followed him everywhere. He sweated blood in Gethsemane. A spiritual hustle that carried eternal weight. Even the Apostle Paul, this man was shipwrecked, beaten, thrown in jail, and still planting churches, writing letters, raising up leaders. Tell me that's not hustle. But they weren't hustling out of insecurity or ego. They were on assignment. Jesus said in John 9:4, "I must work the works of him who sent me. While it is day, the night cometh, when no man can work." That's hustle. That's divine urgency. Jesus understood the brevity of time and the weight of his calling. So should we. Now let me be clear. I'm not saying hustle is your default mode forever. There are seasons. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven." And sometimes God will call you to slow down, sit still and listen. Other times he'll say, "Get up and move now." The key here is discernment, and to be like the sons of Issachar, to discern the seasons and the times. You got to know what season you're in. But don't let that rest culture convince you that hustle is evil. And don't let hustle culture rob you of your peace. You need both. Jesus himself withdrew to quiet places to pray, but also traveled constantly to fulfill his mission. Rest is holy, but so is relentless obedience. And here's the truth about real rest. When you enter into God's rest, you cease from your own works. That means you stop striving in your own strength. Hebrews 4:10 says, "For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their own work, just as God did from his on the seventh day." And this is where many people go wrong. They think they're being restful, but they're really being passive. True rest isn't about doing nothing, unless you're celebrating the Sabbath, obviously, but it's about doing only what God directs. And even Jesus healed on the Sabbath and got persecuted for it. And God can do that because he's the Lord of the Sabbath as well. So again, true rest isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing only what God directs, or keeping God first and then working unto the Lord. Because when you try to carry everything without God, again, it gets heavy, like I always talk about. That's when hustle turns toxic. That's when burnout creeps in. So when you start your day with God, when you spend time in his presence, when you cast your burdens at his feet, he gives you the strength for the assignment. Your grind becomes grace-fueled. Your steps become spirit-led. And your discernment becomes sharp to see opportunities. And that's not lazy. That's strategic surrender. Let me give you an example I like to give people who say, "Oh, hustle culture is terrible." Well, I tell them, if you're in an MMA match and the bell rings and it's go time, that's not the moment to chill. That's not the time to meditate or visualize. You've trained, you prepared, now it's time to execute. And in the ring, execution is hustle. There are spiritual battles that require that same energy. You don't defeat the devil by relaxing. You overcome him by resisting with intensity, urgency, and precision. And this is where holy hustle shows up in business too. When you're launching something God told you to build, you have to work until you're tired sometimes. You will have to show up when the money isn't there yet. You'll have to write, teach, post, sell, encourage others, all while fighting doubt in your own heart. But if God is in it, he will multiply your motion. But you have to take action. People just sit there and let another year pass on the sidelines when they could be at least starting, because time is going to pass anyway. So you might as well take an hour out of your day and start to build now. And let's go even deeper here. Holy hustle isn't just about business. It shows up when you're raising your kids and nobody sees your sacrifice. It shows up when you're caring for a sick parent and asking God for strength. It shows up when you get up at 5 a.m. to seek God in prayer before the chaos starts. Holy hustle is what happens when you're exhausted but obedient. It's not motivated by applause. It's anchored in your purpose or your assignment. And here's something else you need to know. There's a difference between working hard and being graced to work hard. One wears you out, the other wears out the enemy. The difference is keeping God at the center. There's a moment when you're putting in the work, writing, serving, building, creating, and suddenly something shifts. It's like God breathes on your effort. You move faster, you think clearer, you speak stronger. That's not just adrenaline, that's divine acceleration. And Proverbs 10:4 says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." Let's expand on this. Diligence isn't just about hard work. It's about intentional obedience over time. It's about doing what God told you to do day in and day out, even when it doesn't feel exciting. And let's be real, God can't bless laziness disguised as patience. Some of you are waiting on God, but he's waiting on you to start moving in faith. That blog, that business, that book, that course, it's not going to build itself. When you're truly walking with God, hustle isn't just about tasks, it becomes worship. Every action, every move, every late night becomes an offering. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work it all with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men." All your might. That means your business can be the altar. Your daily work can be ministry. Your grind can bring glory if your heart is aligned with the Lord. Now here's some mentorship for the entrepreneurs and visionaries listening. Hustle doesn't replace faith, it demonstrates it. Faith without works is dead. When you hustle under God's direction, your effort becomes a seed that he multiplies. Number 2, your consistency is more spiritual than you realize. The enemy just doesn't want to stop your business. He wants to break your rhythm. Distraction is warfare. Procrastination is spiritual. That's why you need divine discipline. Number 3, rest is strategic, not an excuse. Rest is vital, but don't confuse laziness for wisdom. If your rest leads to disobedience, it's not rest, it's avoidance. Number 4, don't outsource your responsibility to prayer alone. Pray, yes, but also move. Many believers hide behind intercession while avoiding implementation. Prayer without a plan is spiritual immaturity. God gives you a brain, a body, and a breath. Use them. Number 5, if it's from God, it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. The moment you start building in purpose, you'll face opposition. Expect it, welcome it, hustle through it with grace. Number 6, track your obedience, not just your outcomes. Sometimes you won't see immediate fruit, but are you being obedient? Are you showing up faithfully? God doesn't reward hustle alone. He rewards alignment and obedience. And number 7, beware of counterfeit clarity. The enemy loves to mimic open doors. Just because it's working doesn't mean it's God. Hustle with discernment, hustle with a covering, hustle with the word guiding your steps. And this might be for you. Don't feel guilty for grinding. You're not obsessed, you're obedient. And you might get obsessed because you're obsessed with your calling. And you might get obsessed because it takes obsession to develop skills. It takes obsession to get to the next level sometimes. And as long as God is first, you're not obsessed, you're obedient. You're not selfish, you're surrendered. You're not chasing clout, you're chasing calling. So you don't need permission to move in purpose. You don't need validation from culture to go all in. If God gave you a vision, you better move on it, because delayed obedience is still disobedience. And back to that day in the bagel shop, it felt random at the time, just a busy shift. But now I see it was the training ground. God was showing me something. When things fall apart, I'll give you supernatural flow. When people don't show up, I will. When pressure rises, so will my power in you. It wasn't just hustle, it was holy hustle. Once you experience that, you never want to grind alone again. So here's my question for you. Are you hustling with God or apart from Him? Because back in that bagel shop, I wasn't just trying to survive a rush. I was tapping into something great. And I realized when I stopped thinking and just did the work, something sacred kicked in. God met me there. And that's what holy hustle is. It's not about stress. It's about supernatural strength in the middle of your grind. So think about your life. Are you hustling from your flesh or flowing in your spirit? That's the difference. One will drain you, the other will develop you. Because one leads to burnout, the other leads to breakthrough. So the next time someone tells you hustle is toxic, smile and say, it's not the hustle that's toxic, it's hustle without God. Because with God, your hustle becomes holy, your pace becomes purposeful, and your grind becomes grace-filled. So let's move different. Let's hustle with Him, not apart from Him. This is holy hustle. And that's it for this video. If this video somehow changed your life, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with somebody who might need it. And if you want to add more focus to your hustle, I invite you to check out my accelerated mindset training. This is the exact mindset training that changed my life forever. Helped me to get more done in less time, helped me to stay hyper-focused, and to start crushing my goals like clockwork. And I also launched the one-person business digital empire blueprint, where I show you how I made a whole salary online using the principles inside the training. Links down below in the description. Build your empire. And also working on the Power to Get Wealth book. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but that will be released in the next few months. Again, build your empire. And if you need any help or have any questions, feel free to reach out. And again, that's it for this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Be blessed. I'll see you soon.